Within the safety of the Roundtable hold, Talass contemplates his next destination. Rumors speak of a powerful ash of war hidden deep within the scarlet lands of Sealead. His journey leads him to Lenne's Rise, a lonely outpost overlooking the roads of Greyoll's Dragonbarrow. By night, the bridge below is patrolled by one of the realm's most feared hunters, the Knight's Cavalry. Fortune wastes little time testing him. Arriving after sunset, immediately seeks out the rider. Scholar's shield strengthens his defenses, while Rock's Sling becomes his chosen answer to the darkness. The Knight's Cavalry patrols the bridge in silence until the sorcerer reveals himself. Ancient glintstone magic collides with steel and shadow, yet the rider proves every bit as dangerous as the tales suggest. The battle ends almost as quickly as it begins. The horse crashes forward, the halberd follows, and a single mistake leaves sprawled in the mud beneath the bridge. Defeat brings reflection. The rider is faster than expected, more aggressive, and far less vulnerable to sorcery than had hoped. Before attempting the hunt again, he recovers his lost runes, narrowly avoiding a costly setback. Realizing how fragile he remains, the young sorcerer invests in his own survival. A little more vigor, a little more resilience. In lands such as these, every advantage matters. With renewed determination, returns to the bridge. Rock's Sling strikes with respectable force when it lands, but therein lies the problem. The Knight's Cavalry rarely remains where the stones are expected to fall. More often than not, the horse absorbs the punishment while its master continues the hunt. Once again, the rider closes the distance, and once again, the halberd finds its mark. Many tarnished would have abandoned the pursuit after 2 failures. Does not. The bridge near Lenne's Rise has become more than a destination. It has become a challenge. A third confrontation begins beneath the blood-red skies of Greyoll's Dragonbarrow, a land where dragons once ruled and countless warriors met their end. Scholar's shield returns, and for a brief moment Jar considers trusting steel instead of sorcery. The thought passes quickly. Rock Sling remains his weapon of choice, yet the lesson of the previous battles becomes painfully clear. Power is not the issue, timing is. The shield absorbs blows that would once have been fatal, and for the first time, the rider begins to show signs of weakness. Still, the knight's cavalry dictates the pace of the battle. The rider circles, the sorcerer hesitates. Another opening is missed. Another attempt follows, though by now even Jar has begun to lose count. The bridge of Lenne's rise has become a place of repeated failure, yet the young sorcerer refuses to abandon his pursuit. Night falls once more over Greyoll's Dragonbarrow. The knight's cavalry returns to its endless patrol, and Jar returns with it. The question is no longer whether the rider is dangerous. The question is whether a new strategy can succeed where the old one failed. After reclaiming his lost runes, Jar experiments with a different approach. Glintstone Pebble promises greater speed and precision than Rock Sling, at least in theory. Reality proves less encouraging. The rider continues to evade spell after spell, weaving through the darkness with unsettling ease. The knight's cavalry appears almost uniquely suited to hunting those. Only a small wound is inflicted before the inevitable happens. The halberd strikes once more, and Jar's latest attempt ends as abruptly as the others. The lesson remains. The cycle repeats. Another defeat, another recovery of lost runes, another ride through the scarlet wastes of Sealy. By now, the bridge of Lenne's rise has become less a destination and more a battlefield of stubborn persistence. As daylight fades once again, Jar waits for nightfall. The knight's cavalry only appears beneath the darkness, and so the hunt resumes according to its master's terms. For a brief moment, it seems a new strategy may be emerging. Jar approaches on horseback, perhaps preparing to challenge the rider's mobility with his own. The idea is quickly abandoned. Sorcery remains his preferred weapon, and Rock Sling once again opens the battle. The spell performs well enough when it finds its mark, yet as before, the horse suffers nearly as much punishment as its rider. The outcome remains unchanged. Before any meaningful advantage can be gained, The halberd strikes once more. Another attempt ends upon the bridge. Another defeat forces Jar back to the drawing board. The problem is becoming increasingly clear. Raw power is not enough. The knight's cavalry simply refuses to stand still long enough for his magic to matter. Determined to solve the problem, the young sorcerer expands his arsenal. Glintstone Stars and Greatblade Phalanx are prepared in the hope that guided magic might succeed where direct attacks have failed. Night falls once more over Greyoll's Dragonbarrow. Beneath the distant shadow of the ancient dragons, Jar returns to the bridge and begins testing his new approach. The results are disappointing. The stars lack the force needed to threaten the rider, while the spectral blades of the phalanx struggle to find their mark. Even magic, designed to hunt its target, seems unable to keep pace with the knight's cavalry. The rider continues circling through the darkness, controlling the distance and dictating the flow of battle. Once again, Jar finds himself reacting rather than commanding the fight. The outcome is swift and familiar. Another strike from the halberd ends the attempt, and another promising theory is discarded. Slowly, an uncomfortable truth begins to emerge. The solution to this battle. Another attempt begins. By now, even counting the failures has become difficult. The bridge of Lenne's rise has turned into a lesson in frustration, and the knight's cavalry continues to teach it mercilessly. Doubt begins to creep into the young sorcerer's mind. Spell after spell has been tested, yet none have provided the answer he seeks. Some lack the power, others lack the accuracy. The result is always the same. Still unwilling to surrender, Jar returns to one of his more promising tools. Greatblade Phalanx forms around him, while Scholar's shield strengthens his defenses once again. This time, he places his faith in preparation rather than aggression. The spectral blades are summoned, the shield is raised, and he waits for the right moment to strike. The knight's cavalry offers no such opportunity. A brief mistake, a moment of hesitation, and the halberd cuts through yet another plan. The battle ends almost before it begins, leaving. Another attempt begins, though success remains as distant as ever. The bridge has become a graveyard of failed strategies, and the knight's cavalry continues its endless patrol, seemingly untouched by Jar's efforts. The sorcerer approaches once more, armed with familiar spells and fading patience. Yet before any meaningful progress can be made, a simple mistake turns costly. In his haste to recover lost runes, Jar draws the rider's attention too soon. The response is immediate and brutal. Another defeat stains the soil of Sealade. The Scarlet Land has claimed countless warriors over the ages, and today it gladly accepts a little more of Jar's blood. Yet something has changed. The young sorcerer is no longer discouraged. Frustration has given way to determination. What began as a hunt for an ash of war is slowly becoming a matter of pride. Scholar's shield returns. Greatblade Phalanx follows. Rock Sling remains close at hand. The routine has become familiar, almost ritualistic, as Jar prepares for another confrontation beneath the dark skies of Dragonbarrow. For a brief moment, the battle appears manageable. The shield holds. The rider suffers a few minor wounds. Hope flickers once more. Then, as quickly as it appeared, that hope vanishes. The knight's cavalry strikes again, ending the fight in mere moments. The lesson is becoming painfully clear. Sorcery alone may not be enough to overcome this foe. By now, Jar has abandoned the search for a simple solution. One by one, he begins testing every spell at his disposal. Glintstone magic, phalanxes, ambush sorceries. Each offers a different promise, yet none have proven capable of overcoming the rider's relentless mobility. As darkness once again settles over Dragonbarrow, the hunt resumes. The knight's cavalry returns to its bridge, unaware that the sorcerer is preparing yet another experiment. This time, Jar places his faith in magic Glintblade rather than striking immediately. The spectral blades linger before launching themselves toward their target. In theory, such delayed attacks should make evasion far more difficult. For the first time in many attempts, the results are encouraging. Several blades find their mark, and the rider begins taking meaningful damage. Yet the knight's cavalry remains as elusive as ever. Even enchanted blades struggle to keep pace with an opponent that never stops moving. Still, progress is undeniable. The rider's defenses are broken more than once, and for a brief moment, the balance of the battle begins to shift. The bridge that had seemed cursed now offers the faintest glimpse of victory. But every success comes at a cost. Mana dwindles rapidly. Missed attacks continue to pile up, and the flaws of the strategy slowly reveal themselves. The blades are powerful when they connect, yet far too unreliable to serve as a lasting answer. Even so, this becomes Jar's most successful attempt so far. The knight's cavalry suffers wounds deeper than any before, and for the first time, the rider appears vulnerable. The opportunity is short-lived. A single mistake is all the rider requires. Steel meets flesh, and Jah falls once again. Yet this defeat feels different. For the first time, he has seen proof that the hunter. Back at the site of grace, Jah continues his search for answers. No spell is dismissed without consideration. If the knight's cavalry can be defeated through sorcery, then somewhere within his growing arsenal, a solution must exist. Ambush Shard becomes the next candidate. The theory is sound enough. A spell that strikes from unexpected angles should trouble even a mounted opponent. In practice, however, the rider's speed proves overwhelming. The knight's cavalry seems almost impossible to pin down. The battle follows a familiar pattern. Spells miss. The rider closes the distance. Sling returns as a desperate fallback. Moments later, another defeat is added to the growing list of failures. Now, Jah is no longer searching for the perfect spell. He is searching for anything that works. One incantation after another is tested and discarded. Glintstone Arc receives its chance, though confidence in the outcome is beginning to fade. A troubling realization begins to take shape. Perhaps this battle cannot be won through sorcery alone. Then, almost by accident, Jah notices something he had overlooked before. Near the bridge stands a massive stone vessel beside one of the pillars, an unremarkable piece of scenery to most travelers. To a desperate sorcerer, it looks like opportunity. Using Torrent, he climbs atop the structure and surveys the bridge below. For the first time since arriving at Lenne's rise, he has found a position that might actually favor him instead of his opponent. Sling draws the rider's attention, and the battle begins anew. Yet this time, something is different. The knight's cavalry circles below, unable or unwilling to reach its prey. For the first time, Jah may have forced the hunter to play by his rules. From atop the stone vessel, Jah finally gains something he has lacked throughout the entire battle: control. Safe from the rider's immediate attacks, he begins casting with patience rather than desperation, carefully timing each spell to match the movements below. strategy works better than anything that came before it. Slowly, the knight's cavalry begins to suffer meaningful wounds. Yet even from this advantageous position, victory remains uncertain. The rider's constant movement continues to frustrate many of the sorcerer's attacks, while precious mana dwindles with every cast. Rock Sling remains the only spell capable of delivering reliable damage. One by one, the alternatives are discarded. The rider falls below half health for the first time, but so too does Jaz's supply of magical energy. The battle is entering unfamiliar territory. At last, the final flask is empty. The sorcerer has exhausted every magical resource available to him. The knight's cavalry still lives, wounded but dangerous. For a moment, the outcome hangs in the balance. Then Jar makes a decision no one would have expected when this journey began. He draws his Estoc. Leaving the safety of his perch behind, Jar descends from the vessel and steps directly into the path of the rider. The battle that began as a duel of sorcery is about to end in steel. The risk is enormous. A protective blessing from his wondrous physic grants a brief margin for error. But once it fades, every strike from the knight's cavalry could prove fatal. Still, the sorcerer presses forward, driving his Estoc into both rider and mount whenever an opening appears. To his own surprise, the tactic works. The horse staggers. The rider is forced from the saddle. For the first time since arriving at Lenne's rise, the knight's cavalry is no longer the hunter. It is the prey. Mana is gone. Flasks are empty. Nothing remains except skill, patience, and determination. Jar circles carefully around the rider's weapon arm, avoiding deadly sweeps while searching for opportunities to strike. Every movement matters now. The battle becomes a test of discipline. No reckless attacks, no panic, only measured thrusts and careful positioning. The rider's health dwindles with each exchange, while Jah survives on little more than focus and stubborn refusal to fail. Again and again, the knight's cavalry loses its footing. Openings appear where none existed before. The rider who had seemed invincible now stands on the edge of defeat. Last, the final blows land. The knight's cavalry collapses, its long patrol brought to an end. Against all expectation, the young sorcerer has prevailed. The victory belongs not to a spell, nor to some hidden secret of magic. It belongs to persistence. After countless failures, Jah adapted, improvised, and ultimately succeeded by abandoning the very approach he had relied upon from the beginning. Returning to the site of grace, he finally claims the reward that drew him to Lenne's rise in the first place. Bloodhound's step is bound to his Estoc, transforming the weapon into something far deadlier than before. As Jah tests his newly acquired Ash of War beneath the night sky of Sealead, another chapter of his journey comes to a close. Ahead lies Raya Lucaria, where greater mysteries and far deadlier challenges await the young sorcerer.